Yo, what's going on, everybody? Hope all is well. So, y'all, today we just got to actually cleaning up in the backyard, straightening some things out. So, it's been a crazy, busy day today. And when it's crazy busy, sometimes I don't think I'm gonna get to record the podcast. But amazingly enough, I find time to make it happen. So, great job to me. So, anyways, y'all, I want to talk a little bit about myself in general, my family, because I feel like sometimes me being behind this mic, me sharing how to stay positive through the worstest scenarios in your life. Sometimes I think some of you all think that my life is easy and that it's easy for me to be positive and to share positivity because my life is great. There's nothing going on, right? There's no tragedy, nothing crazy happening to Coach James. And because Coach James doesn't have to deal with adversity, he can get behind the mic and speak all day long about positivity because everything in his life is positive. And y'all, let me just say that's not true. 100% not true. Y'all, my biggest thing about this podcast is I want to be very vulnerable with y'all because I want you all to know that my life is upside down sometimes too, but that doesn't give me the mindset to not still stay positive. I shared a video a while back, and this was months and months ago, maybe even a year ago now, on my social media. And on that social media video, I talked about how me being positive, what makes me different from a lot of people in maintaining my positivity is that I just practice good habits, right? And your life is really based on good habits. And when things happen, how do you handle them? I handle them a little bit different. I practice what I preach. Whatever I share with y'all on the podcast is how I handle things. Me being positive is how I live my life. There are moments where my positivity is a little bit less than normal, but I get back on track in a couple moments. But anyways, y'all, my experience I want to share with y'all is that my daughter is currently, well, she just went through a whole legal thing where she had to do a stint in jail and she was struggling with addiction, of course. And as she struggled with addiction, me and my wife kind of had to get drug through the mud as well, because we all know when you're a parent, you don't just give up on your kids. You stand beside them and try to help them fight whatever their struggles may be in life. And so she went through that whole scenario where she was just not making the best decisions ever and just living life based on what she thought the way she should live life. And there's nothing wrong with you living life the way you want to live life. Where the issue is that some of us choose to have worse habits than others. And I just share with y'all about my habits, but some of us choose different habits. And so it makes life a little bit more difficult. But back to what I was saying, yeah, she did a little bit of time in jail. Now she has to go to a recovery center for a couple of months. And that's where we are now with that whole thing with her, is we're waiting on her to hopefully complete the program. And we have very high hopes for her to complete the program. Let me just say that. But yeah, so that was one thing that we have been struggling with, me, my wife, and my family. And it has not always been the easiest scenario to stay positive in. But I feel like what I did this time is this time I was really, really close in my relationship with Jesus and giving a lot of my thoughts, struggles, worries, and doubts to him. And so, my saving grace has been Jesus. And I've said this before, y'all, my spiritual leader is Jesus. And when times are great and times are not great, I'm always calling out to Jesus, praying to Jesus, and praising him for his greatness and his holiness. And so this time I really, really focused on God instead of focusing on my problems, the issues that we were dealing with, right? With my daughter and everything else that we had in between that, right? Because that just wasn't just one issue. It was more than one issue, but that was probably the biggest thing that we were carrying or we were harboring in our life at that point in time was that. But y'all, I'm sharing that with y'all, like I said, because I don't want y'all to think that my life is just cake and ice cream, because it's not. We go through struggles. I go through struggles. People around me that I'm close to go through struggles. And I pretty much spit the same message to you, to them, as I am to y'all on this podcast. And that message is preaching positivity. Stay positive, live positive, and be positive. Right? Now, my positivity and how I view it may be different from the way you view positivity, right? Mine has this long line of what I view as positive, and yours may have a whole different line of what you may view as positive. But however, if you are choosing positivity and you have chose positivity, make sure you're making better decisions in life, because I feel like with positivity, if you're thinking positive and you're living positive, the decisions might not always be the greatest, but they should be better decisions than what you made in the past. In the past, they got you to where you are in the past, right? I was thinking today on this post that I posted on social media. And in this post, I talked a little bit about the fact that we won't really know who we are or what we want in life until we are fully aware of who we are, until we are mature enough and we're honest with ourselves, right? Honesty is one. That's a big one. The second one is really being aware of who you are. And then the third one, obviously, is just making better choices in life. So that is how I view and live my life on a daily basis in order for me to remain positive. And so I don't know what y'all do when y'all have to deal with issues and how you handle them, but I would share with you all, make sure you handling them positive. Make sure you have self-control. Make sure you have something of a higher power to lean on. I'm never going to try to tell you you should serve the same Jesus that I serve, but my Jesus that I serve works for me. And I hope that the one that you serve works for you. Let me land the plane on this one, y'all. What I'm trying to say is that we should all be following some type of higher power above us, because that's what keeps us really, really grounded. I look at Jesus as being like my father, right? I don't want to disappoint my father, even though I do sometimes, even though I don't always walk the biblical line. Sometimes in life, I make a mistake, but I view God as my father, like, oh God, I made a mistake. Please forgive me. And it's funny, ask God to forgive me, but he already know who I am, what I'm going to do, and the mistakes I'm going to make, because he created me, every hair on my head, right? So he already knows these things. But still, I still ask God to forgive me for the things that I've done that's outside of the way, in my mind, how I should be living holy, because I want my father to be happy with how I'm living my life. Now, God never judges us. He still loves us no matter what. But in my mind, like I said, I live my life based on certain things in this world. And one thing that I try not to do or limit is disappointing Jesus. And so my initial point that I wanted to make with that, y'all, is that find a higher power or something that you can trust, something that you love, and something that you can honor in order for you to find a way to stay and live and be positive. That's what I just had to do. I just shared that with y'all with the scenario that my daughter, that we're struggling with my daughter. Things hasn't always been as easy, but I was still able to wake up every day and still be grateful about life. I was still able to wake up every day and find a way to find joy. And if you're struggling today and you got something in your life that's going on, you have got to find a way to find joy in your life. Like I just said in the video, y'all, like I said about the video or the post I just posted on social media, it's about a couple things. It's about being aware of who you are, being honest with yourself, and like I said, actually living life based on being aware of where you're going in this world. So, yeah, so that was my post today on social media, y'all. Honesty, awareness, and self-love, or whatever you want to call it, better decisions, better habits, however you see it. So that's what I want to share with y'all, just so y'all didn't think I was the guy behind the microphone just living the best life ever, and everything in my life is peaches and ice cream. Not always. But I do make them peaches and ice cream no matter what's going on in my life. I may have the terriblest thing in the world happen to me, but I still eat my ice cream and my peaches. I will tell you, I don't like ice cream and peaches together. That don't even sound good to me. Some of y'all might do, but to me, that don't sound good. Mint chocolate ice cream sounds good to me. That's my fave. But the point I'm making, y'all, is that I might have something traumatic going on in my life, but I still find a way to find joy. I still find a way to be happy. I still find a way to not allow the negative things in my life to pull down the positive things in my life. And so, like I said, if you're struggling with that, find a way. Find a higher power. Respect the higher power. Understand how the higher power plays in your life, and understand you knowing the higher power, being aware of what steps you should take to make sure that you don't fall off the road, and you continue to stay positive in your journey. The more positive you are, the more you can enjoy life. And the more you will find enjoyment out of life. So don't ever think that because your life isn't great right now or things are happening, that you still can't find a way to be joyous in life. Because if there's a will, there's a way. You just got to go find it and live it out. Hey, y'all, thank y'all for listening. I really appreciate it. If you have not checked out my website, go check it out. It's www.rewiredthewayouthink.com. If you have not followed the podcast, make sure you hit that follow button. When you do, you never miss a moment to rewire the way you think. Hey, y'all, I'm not hard to find. I'm on IG all day, every day. It's Fast Forward Mindset Podcast. If you're struggling with thoughts of suicide, thoughts of hurting yourself or someone else, please don't hesitate to call the Suicide Prevention Hotline at 988. Hey, y'all, I'm Coach James. Let me help you wire the way you think. And as I always say, if your mindset doesn't make you money, it's costing you way too much. And that's my 2 cents in there, y'all. Peace. Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. And remember, don't rewind your life, fast forward it. Until next time, keep moving forward. Hey, y'all, I'm Coach James. Let me help rewire the way you think. All right, y'all. Peace.